Hey, it's Zave. The 2.x storyline has come to an end, and not only was the main storyline peak, but the character writing throughout has been top notch as well. So, as a nice little send-off for the 2.x batch of updates, let's take a bit of time and talk about every single banner character we've gotten, from Carlaua all the way to Gabrena. We're not going to include Chuan, because I have a heavy bias. Even if they release him with no story, and we just sit and stare at him for 45 minutes and that's the whole quest, I'll still like him. 10 out of 10. Let's start with... honestly, not one of my favorites. I think she's very well done in terms of her design, theme, and characterization, but I really wish she was more rowdy and tomboyish. I know she isn't supposed to be like that by design, but it would have made her a lot more endearing for me personally. Carlaua is the head of the Montelli family, but also doubles as their hitman, someone who handles all the dirty work. This brings an interesting duality to her character. While being the face of the family, presenting herself as a flawless, elegant figurehead, in reality, she's having gunfights in courtyards, handling traitors with her own two hands, and investigating potential espionage within her family. I also like that she attempts to lead by example, instead of barking orders from the safety of their family's estate. There are 3 other characters who are also in positions of leadership, and they're all handled differently than Carlaua, which is interesting. She perfectly embodies the perfect princess with a rough side trope, and that's always something I can respect. I give her an 8 out of 10. Roshia! She is adorable. I usually hate kid characters in games, but every now and then one gets to my heart. The last one that got to my heart was Hook from HSR, and now Roshia is another. Her quest was nothing special, but I really liked that in the quest she was very scared of the Dragon of Dirge, even shaking just at its outline in the shadow. But by the time we come to the finale, she's actually super friendly with it, realizing that the echoes that inhabit the land care about their home just as much as she does. Her design and animations are also really underrated in my opinion. Extremely creative character in her design and animations. She plays her role perfectly narrative-wise as well, always being the flashy side character for Brandt. I'll give her a 7 out of 10. She didn't really blow my mind, but I think she is a bit underrated. Phoebe! I adore Phoebe. She is a thug. She stands 10 toes down on her faith, and I love that for her. She pulls through whenever we need her to, showing up multiple times in the finale to save our asses, and is the perfect example of a religious character done right. She isn't a zealot or a bigot. She is a genuine, pure example of the power that faith can give somebody, and even though I'm not very religious, in real life I think a lot of people could stand to be more like her. Even in the narrative, when her faith is challenged, instead of just going crazy or giving up hope, she takes time to reflect on her faith and realizes that she doesn't believe in the Sentinel out of obligation or fear. She has a genuine belief in the Sentinel's ideals and what the Sentinel represents. Realizing that, her faith becomes even stronger, making her one of the best depictions of a religious character that I've seen in gaming in a while. She's also absolutely adorable, especially when talking about bonking people on the head with her cane. 10 out of 10 character for me. Brandt is a peak character to me. Amazing design, extremely unique gameplay, jaw-dropping animations, plus he's meta as fuck, suave as hell, endearing, charismatic. I cannot think of anything I dislike about him. He's a criminal with a heart of gold. His backstory was also super badass. Being believed to have been burnt alive by his own purple flame, everyone assumed he was dead. He then became a legendary myth, just to come back as a legendary pirate and performer. Goated character. 10 out of 10. Bonus points for challenging the church. I always love when characters challenge corrupt religion. Canella. She's really good. I love the subversion of expectations they did with her. Her design, characterization, and writing were all really well done, and even though she doesn't appeal to any of my personal taste, I can recognize that she's one of the best written characters in all of the 2.x storyline. She handles the siren motif very well, being visually alluring with a sultry voice and a heavy aquatic theme, but her characterization has nothing to do with her sex appeal. Her story is all about self-sacrifice. The fact that she could have been the Sentinel's chosen and had her second awakening, but didn't do it because it would spell disaster for everyone else was such a crazy lore drop. Then she went from being the potential Sentinel's chosen to being the head of a family that's hated because people thought that they worshipped the Thernoidian, aka the devil. Instead of correcting the masses, she allows her family to be hated because the truth of what happened to the Sentinel and Thernoidian would throw the public into chaos. 9 out of 10 character. I just wish she was a bit better meta-wise so I could rationalize pulling for her. I don't have the pulls to spare, okay? I'm struggling already. Zani. Zani is a peak side character. She contributes absolutely nothing to the main plot, but God, her design is so good. Her weapon is among the best in the entire cast, and her VA is among the best out of everyone in my opinion. I love that she doesn't try to be center stage though. She knows what she is and plays that role well. Similar to the relationship between Roshia and Brandt, Zani is Carlotta's +1 and only stands to enhance any scenes that she's already in. 8 out of 10 for me. I also love that she's like Batman, pretty much. Like she goes out at night and fights crime and shit. That's pretty cool. Chia Kona. She's goated. I have a huge bias for her, but I don't care. She's so cool. Her animations also have so much detail put into them, it's genuinely insane. Music-based characters are always really cool in action games, and she's no exception. I also love her rebellious personality. In real-life history, musicians and artists always play a vital role when it comes to revolutions and rebellions, and she embodied that perfectly in her quest. The image of her running across the rooftops, singing the hymns of revolution while being chased by members of the church is such a beautiful sight. She's also the prettiest girl in the game, and that's a fact, not an opinion. Heavily underrated, 9 out of 10. Cartia. She's perfect, no notes, no critiques, no deep dive needed. She'll always be number 1. Lupa. I didn't like her at first because I didn't understand her purpose, but once we got the second half of her quest, I realized she was meant to represent the heart of Septimont, and that made me like her a lot more. The way she embodied Septimont's values and beliefs helped us understand Septimont's culture, and made me not only appreciate Septimont's storyline more, but also appreciate Kuro's world building. I think it's also amazing that they really let her take the spotlight in the story, having her fight with Cartia and a corrupted Thermodian vessel in Mia. She also has really sick animations and a really clean visual design, and I love the fact that she wields a flaming broadsword in one hand and a banner of war in the other. The violent Australian gets a 9 out of 10. Froo Lova. She's Froo Lova's quest was amazing, and I hate that it was. I do not like her at all, but she was so well written, her quest was so well executed, they put their whole Carissa into their update. The overall vibe of the quest matched Froo Lova's personality perfectly. She is someone who suffers from severe depression and survivor's guilt, and then was taken advantage of by everyone who promised to help her reach her goal. I love that Kuro didn't shy away from the fact that she's a miserable, sad person. Even NPCs in her own quest pointed out how depressing her musical pieces sounded. Her theme of being a conductor/orchestrator being perfectly represented in her gameplay is also a plus. I reluctantly give her a 10 out of 10. I'd love to see her and Chia Kona react, play some music together, discuss music theory, shit like that. Augusta. She was near Cartia levels of perfection. She perfectly embodied not only Septimont's culture, but the overall theme of the 2.x storyline, which was the will of mankind. Everything about her screaming power and dominance, despite starting as a girl from a forgotten village. Her clawing and fighting her way to the top with nothing but a weak resonance ability and a sword. The fact that she had been dealing with the whispers of the dark tide for damn near her whole life and still never fell to corruption. She's the GOAT. My only nitpick with her is her outfit. It's not a bad outfit, but she would look so much better with some leg armor. That aside, I give her a 9 out of 10, maybe 9.5, maybe a 9.9. Yuno. I really liked her quest, but to be honest, I feel like she was the lesser of the two between her and Augusta. Yuno feels like a supporting role for Augusta rather than an equal. She feels like she was supposed to play a role similar to Zani and Roshia, a peak side character to Augusta, but they gave her a lot of plot relevance that felt undeserved. Maybe I'm tripping, but I think she could have benefited from taking a step back from the main narrative. I do like her personality and outfit though. I love rebellious characters, and Yuno is about as rebellious as it gets, even giving up her own ability to see the future because she didn't want herself and others to be shackled by the knowledge of fate. 7 out of 10 character in my opinion. Really good, but not among my favorites. Gabrena. Man, she's like Augusta on crack. You want to talk about the will of mankind? Gabrena is literally willpower personified, being dropped into the depths of hell as a small child, fighting and clawing her way out, making a deal with a powerful demon, eating and absorbing other powerful demons and taking their names and abilities, constantly having to hunt stronger and stronger prey because if she doesn't, then her soul will be eaten. Absolutely amazing. She truly is the best representation of willpower we've seen in this story story so far. Let me remind you, she was dragged to hell when she was like 8 and made it out. And then on top of that, Chimera is a treat. I like that they didn't make him like a softie. He's very vicious. He makes it very clear that he is planning to eat her soul as soon as the opportunity arises. And the only reason he helps her and saves her when he does is because if she dies, he dies and he has to go back to the dark tide and he doesn't want to go back to hell. Yeah, I like their relationship. I like that Chimera is unapologetically evil. I like how badass she is, but I like that her defining factor and most standout trait is not how cool and badass she is. Her defining factor is the fact that she is the most, what's the word? I can't think of the word, but she's like, she has a lot of willpower. Like, there's got to be a word for that. Either way, 10 out of 10 character. She's so sick. And Chuan, again, I'm pretty biased for Chuan. I think he's probably the coolest character in the entire game, both visually and animation wise. And I love that his English VA kind of has like a Chinese accent. I really like when characters have accents reminiscent of their design. So for example, like Augusta kind of has like that Greek Roman-ish accent. Gabrena has like a Russian accent. Zani has like an Italian accent, I believe. You know, Chuan here has like a Chinese accent. Like, I like that these characters sound like, well, like their design and whatnot. That stuff is cool. With that being said, his animations are so cool. He gets a personal letterbox. He gets like sound, like his own soundtrack when he's doing his moves. Like, you hear like the flute or whatever, the instruments that used to play in like old Chinese martial arts films. He does the thing. If you ever watch like an old Chinese martial arts film, a lot of times you can see them running on bamboo or running on like blades of grass or running on like wheat. Like they're very light-footed in the martial arts movies, and he does the same thing. He jumps on bamboo in his combos and whatnot. The effects on his slashes look like ink blot effects, and that's really cool. Like, it looks like ink strokes and stuff, reminiscent of like calligraphy. Everything about this character is just amazing. They did so much when it comes to like attention to detail. Like, they put so much love into that character. He gets a 10 out of 10, no bias of course. So overall, I love the 2.x story because it covered one of my favorite themes, mankind versus divinity. So many characters challenged the gods and challenged fate in so many different ways. Phoebe, Canella, Cartia, Chia Kona, Brandt, Yuno, Augusta, Lupa, and now Gabrena have all challenged fate either directly or indirectly. And the fact that it all comes to a head in the finale was so satisfying. The Sentinel revealing that it always believed that mankind could make their own path was heartwarming. And Avidius, oh my god. Avidius, such a strong character, such strong writing, such an ending. Oh my gosh, bro, 15 out of 10. Avidius was crazy. Overall, every single 5-star character we got was executed extremely well. Striking visual designs, top tier animations, strong voice acting, and interesting themes being covered. I am extremely excited to see what Kuro can cook up for 3.0. Let me know what your favorite characters were and why they were your favorite, and subscribe for more content like this. Have a damn good one.